doing some homemade butter. And it's super easy to make homemade butter. We're going to be seasoning it with a little bit of truffle salt. I have some truffle salt over here. And then, so we'll be making homemade truffle butter. Wow, what's better than homemade truffle butter, right? Okay, super easy. You can use a KitchenAid mixer or a stand-up mixer. You can actually use a jar and just shake it if you wanted to. But the fastest, most efficient way is to use a food processor. I'm going to just take some heavy cream. This is heavy cream. You can use manufacturing cream. You can use heavy whipping cream. How much butter do you want to make? You'll have about 30% yield on it. The remaining, about 70% will be buttermilk, right? So you'll have, we're actually making two things today. One is homemade butter, the other one is buttermilk, right? So, all right, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and turn it on, and we're gonna let it whip up. So we're literally making whipped cream as well, right, at the same time. So the other things that I'm gonna need a strainer, I'm gonna need a stainless steel bowl or a bowl. I also need another bowl to finish it off in. So I'll just use this white bowl here. Alright. So I have this white bowl here. I have a stainless steel bowl and a strainer. And I have, as you can hear, we have the Cuisinart food processor going. So we're just running. I'm going to just go ahead and toss this away. It takes about 3 to 4 minutes to do the full, the full thing with it. I'm actually going to reserve a little bit of the whipped cream because halfway through you'll have whipped cream. I'm going to actually reserve a little bit of that because I'm going to show you a demonstration when we do the parachute demo. I need to have a little bit of whipped cream. So as you can see here, about halfway through we've just made whipped cream. So you can see that, look, it's really stiff, right? So you can actually season that with sugar if you wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and just put that right over here on the side. We're going to use that later on, and then I'm just going to continue. What you want to do is you want to over whip it. So how many of you have made butter by accident, right? By letting it go a little bit too far, right? So yeah, it's kind of fun that way. But anyway, you need a rubber spatula. You can have your fun Santa Claus rubber spatula if you want, or you can have, this is called a spoonula. I love this one. This one's a Le Creuset spoonula. It has like a little ridge on here to help you hold on to it so it doesn't get slippery if the butter gets on the handle, right? So as I can see, it's actually working out pretty good there. What I like to do, and it's kind of a trick, and what I like to do is actually get a little bit of water and put some ice in it. So just get a little ice water, right? So I have some ice here. And we're going to put some water and some ice together. So about a quarter cup of water and a few ice cubes just to get it super cold, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to go pull this off. So you can see that the butter is now starting to form. The whipped cream is now separating into two things. One is butter, and the other thing is buttermilk, right? So we're just going to continue here. A couple more seconds. It's working pretty good. Alright. A few more seconds. I also need some parchment paper nearby so that I could go ahead and make some butter. If you have a string also, strings work great. I'm going to get a couple of 6-inch pieces of string here to tie the ends so that I can actually keep this butter in the freezer for about 6 months even, In the refrigerator it'll last about a month. Okay, so now I can see that it's separating from butter into buttermilk. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to coagulate or stiffen up the butter fat a little bit by adding that ice water right to the top of the machine. So I add the ice water in there. Alright, and then that stiffens up the buttermilk, and then I shut it off, and now I have butter and buttermilk, two things, right? So I'm going to go ahead, you guys can see that. Let me put this down a little bit there. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just tip this out into the strainer there, right? Don't want to waste any of that butter. What's butter now? It's like $3 a pound right now, right? So, but this is really good butter. Butter in the store has about 20% water in it. This will be more like your European butters that don't have any water in it at all, especially if you do it right. So I'll just stick it in the sink. Make sure I get everything out of here. Don't waste any with my rubber spatula. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just gently, not too much, just gently squeeze out the excess buttermilk or the water that comes out, right? All right, and then all I'm keeping is the butter fat, right? So this is the butter, it's the butter fat, right? Making sure that all the water comes out. I don't want to season it before I do this because I don't want my buttermilk to get seasoned with truffle salt, right? So I'm just going to do that like that, squeezing it out, making sure that any gaps in there that there might be pockets of liquid in there. We want to make sure that those get all squeezed out, and cut it open a little bit if you want. Make sure that all the buttermilk comes out, right? You can actually take some store-bought buttermilk and mix it with this, and that will incorporate or inoculate the milk with a little bit of the lactobacilli, which we talked about last week when we did cheese, right? All right, so now I have the buttermilk. I'm going to set that aside, and I have my butter fat. Look, so you can see the butter fat here? Looks just like butter, right? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to season it. This now is what we call sweet butter at this point. Not because we've added anything sweet into it, but because we didn't add anything salty. That's why it's called sweet butter, right? So how much truffle salt do we want to add? Or how much truffle salt do you like? All right, so you can always taste it and then add a little more if you want. In my experience, about a good teaspoon for this pint of cream that we're using. And then just go ahead and mix it all in. I want to make sure that I mix it in evenly. I don't want any spots. And then I have my oven going off here, so let me shut that real quick. That's for the next demo. Let me just open that, let the heat come out a little bit. All right, so now I have my truffle butter here, and it is mixed with the truffle salt. It's really amazing flavor, right? And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take some parchment paper here, going to cut it, and then I will take my butter. Oops. There we go. Everybody can see that? Yeah. And then we're just placing it on here, right in the center there. All right, and then we'll put this in the sink. We'll take our butter and we'll, okay, let's put that there. And then we're just going to roll this over and flatten it and pull it. I'm trying to make it into a shape. You can actually make it into a square block like you would regular store-bought butter if you'd like. I like to make it into a cylindrical shape, and then when I cut it, it looks like little cylindrical discs. Later on, after I've let it set up for a little bit in the refrigerator, I can cut it, and then it's a beautiful presentation. I love that presentation of the cylindrical discs of butter on my plates when I'm serving my homemade bread that we learned last week with homemade truffle butter. Wow, isn't that amazing, right? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and twist that paper. Twist the paper and wipe this up a little bit, and then tie the ends with a little bit of string. I like to lean on it a little bit. I lean off to the side because if you lean straight on, people think you're weird, right? That's supposed to be funny. All right, so I tied it up, and other side, just a regular granny knot there, just to hold it like that. You want to put today's date on it. You want to mark what it is, and then you can go ahead and put that in your refrigerator or your freezer. Again, it stays about 6 months. That's the beautiful homemade truffle butter. I wish you guys were here so we could taste it. But anyway, all right, so homemade truffle butter. Let me know how that works out. That's not a mandatory. Everybody can see.